views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of BronxNet or the program underwriters.
Hey there, welcome to the Bronx Buzz. This is BronxNet's program where we talk to reporters and writers and journalists and editors, and I'll underscore that for this evening's program. We also have in our second segment a very, very interesting segment with high school students. So it's the first time we've ever done that. Nonetheless, it is really a thrill for me to have an old friend and an old friend of the Bronx, Ralph Ortega, who is now the actually technically interim editor-in-chief for this magazine, City and State, New York. And nice to see you again, Ralph. How are you? It's been a long time.
Been a very long time, and happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
So just for people in the Bronx who say, wait a minute, I think I kind of remember that guy's name. You worked for the Daily News on the Bronx section, right? Talk about that briefly.
Yes, I back in '99, I joined the Daily News via New Jersey. I'd been working for the Asbury Park Press there, but I was dying to come home to New York because I'm a native New Yorker, and I got hired by the News and was working out of the Bronx Bureau, the former Bronx Bureau, Morris Park, actually. And it was really an interesting time. We had such resources. We had, I think up to 3 reporters and a boss. And
You can mention the boss's name, our good friend Bob Capstadter, a legend in the Bronx and in Bronx politics, for sure.
Still very much in my life to this very day. I have to say he's a great mentor, and one of them, and I'm friend. I worked there for about 13 months before the boss in Manhattan said, come on downtown and start chasing police stories and politics and breaking news, and did that for about 5 years.
I'm always curious about muse, like what is an artist's muse? What is it that drives you to be a reporter, to be a journalist, to want to go chasing police cars down the block, as well as politicians now, and the reporters, which is what you got to do for your living now. But what is it that drives you? What's in your mind about it?
Oh, it's the reward of being able to meet people and tell their stories, and to, I know it sounds cliche, but I've been, I've been such a fan of just getting to know so many people over my life, and being able to have the privilege of getting to know their stories and having them tell me their stories. That was one of the things about working at the News and chasing crime stories, and going out to meet people who had perhaps suffered some kind of problem, and then getting to hear what it was like for them personally. That really adds the human dimension to a story. So I've always loved that part, that I could be paid actually for a living to do that, in addition to all the regular stuff that we do, writing about the news and being able to tell, keep the public informed about what's going on in their lives. That's a privilege, honestly.
So, but does being an editor-in-chief take you out of the process of, I was going to say sitting at your typewriter, of course we don't do that anymore, but sitting at the computer and typing stories, and so now you're involved in making larger editorial decisions and those kinds of things? Or are you still writing stuff and kind of hardcore roll up the sleeves, get involved?
Fortunately for me, I do have the opportunity to write whenever the opportunity comes up. I did a cover story on Carolyn Maloney about 3 weeks ago. That was a lot of fun, and got another cover story coming up. I'd rather leave that to our readers to find out about later.
All right, we'll find out soon enough.
But it is timely for next week, and we're sure that you'll look forward to reading on that.
I want to talk about City and State in particular. I love this publication, and I get the updates every morning and every night. And it's just a fascinating read. You have excellent reporters for people who do what I do, reporting on local politics and local issues. There's always something in here that is relevant. So congratulations for that. One of the features I wanted to ask you about, which is ingenious, it probably was created, in fact, it definitely was created before you, and that is the top 100 that you do. Sometimes it's the top 50, the power 50. I'm happy that I've been named in the Bronx listings periodically, and that's always very gratifying. But it gives you a sense of outreach. So this issue here, people can see it's the Not Profit 100. For people interested in the Bronx and in the city, here's your 100 most important not-for-profit people. And you do it with healthcare, and you do it with education, you do it with the Bronx and Brooklyn and Staten Island. How difficult is it to put that together? I guess you do one just about every week, right? That's gotta be a big task, right?
So today we published an editor's note explaining our criteria for choosing these lists. So the way our publisher, Tom Allen, likes to define power is, our list is basically what makes this person powerful, right? It's a combination of their influence. It's a combination of their achievements, there's what kind of work they do, if they're in government, if they have access to government officials and influencers. And my editor's note details how we take a lot of care in those weeks of preparation and research involving reporters to determine a list that's not only robust, but also reflecting diversity, inclusion, as well as accountability and responsibility. So if a person in power, for example, is considered for our list, we also have to consider where they are in this world at the moment, if there's any kind of issues regarding them or controversy.
Right. That becomes part of it. Yeah, it involves a lot. The one thing that I thought of from somebody in media, it also gives you a tremendous reach, because then if 100 organizations are represented, not-for-profits, they and presumably many of the people they serve and others will be interested. And of course, it helps broaden the reach of the paper. I don't know if you want to go there, but I know from somebody in media that it's a very, very clever device and always fascinating to read, I have to tell you. The other thing I want to ask you about is future. I mean, so here you go. Here's a guy who comes in. He's got a nice background. He's worked the editor of a financial paper and has been with the Daily News and all that. And now he's going to be the interim editor of this really extraordinary publication. You have ideas of new things that we're going to get, or is it really a task of just keeping all those plates spinning every single day?
Well, I'm very excited to say that we are about to announce our first advisory board.
Oh,
So we have appointed someone to head that advisory board, Cheryl Huggins Salomon. She works at NYU's McSilver Institute, and she has worked with us as an editor in the past. We, with Cheryl, have put together a panel of about a dozen community members who will be a sounding board for the selection of people on our lists. This way,
oh,
we're taking the added measure of ensuring that we really are listening, keeping our ear to the ground and listening to our audience, so that these power lists are as accurate and reflective as much of the community as possible.
well, that's fascinating, because I could see how people say, "Oh, well, wait a minute, why'd you choose him or her?" And then all of a sudden, you got to answer to stuff that you'd rather not answer. I guess it's a real challenge, and I actually had an interaction with some people who I respect, who were saying, "Oh, the media," and then they criticized the media for being wrong or for being false or for only caring about money. And I said, I got to tell you, I've been doing this for a very long time. The large percentage of people that I know who are doing news or doing what you do or doing what I do really care about trying to do it the right way, right? I mean, you have writers in there. When I interview them, they are right down the middle. What is the truth is the truth, right?
Well, we've got a great staff at City and State. Um, and let me mention as well that we're expanding our franchise. So we hope to see the model repeated across the country and perhaps other cities.
Wow.
We've had a publication and site in Philadelphia, and we just, there was a time where we had no longer owned them, but now we've repurchased them because we're also part of a much larger organization now. We're part of Government Executive Media Group. And this is a terrific team of journalists, as just like City and State, working out of Washington. And Government Executive is their flagship publication. And like City and State, it's a publication that is written for people in federal government. And so there's a lot of crossover that we are hoping to capitalize in that new relationship. And we're
Fascinating.
going to be relaunching City and State Pennsylvania the same way. And I'm very confident that we're going to have a great staff there as well, just
Wow.
hopefully as good as our staff in New York.
It really is a credit to you and credit to the concept, because the possibilities when you write a political paper, a lot of times they start out being down the middle, and then all of a sudden it shifts because everybody's got their own agenda. But this publication, City and State New York, has been great. When you said it, all of a sudden I'm thinking a Chicago and Illinois paper. Wow, what a revelation! And to get people information that, listen, sometimes it's this way, sometimes it's that way. You just, put your finger out and measuring the winds. That's what you do. Anyway, Ralph Ortega, it's been great to reconnect. Congratulations on the new appointment, the interim editor-in-chief of City and State. I don't know if I'm asking the wrong thing, saying, are we going to get you appointed officially? I don't know. If you're, tell him to call me and I'll tell him to do it.
Stay tuned. Thank you so much.
It's great. And for anybody who doesn't know, go to City and State New York and make sure you get it every week like I do. And Ralph, continued good luck. It's been great to reconnect, and more and more great things from you and our friends at City and State New York. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gary.
No problem. All right, folks, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to go from an interim editor-in-chief to high school students who are doing some great work in the Bronx. Don't go away.
When taking public transportation, don't touch your phone. Carry hand sanitizer and use it immediately upon leaving the bus or train. Avoid touching your face. If someone is coughing or sneezing, move away. Wash your hands with soap and water as soon as possible. Limit contact with poles. If possible, avoid rush hour. Don't eat or drink on public transportation. Keep your bag off the floor or other surfaces. Avoid directly touching turnstiles. Stay up to date with the latest from your local health department and CDC.
We built a media network for you.
BronxNet TV.
Come learn in your new state-of-the-art studios at Lehman College.
At Mercy College.
And coming soon to the South Bronx in the Hub.
Inspire with your stories, culture, history.
Your Bronx on BronxNet.
Engage with us.
Connect with us at your channels and at bronxnet.tv.
Learn, engage, inspire. BronxNet TV.
From the Bronx
to the world.
BronxNet.
know that people are dealing with the health crisis, but there's also a lot of food insecurity.
We're giving out healthy food options, and that's what's key here.
If you're a senior, you have a disability, they'll actually deliver meals to you.
The residents are anxious, they're worried, they're scared, they want to be tested.
When things were happening in our community and we couldn't get the help.
There's almost a presumption of criminality that attaches to your skin color.
The site will prioritize those who are at highest risk in the population.
If you feel symptoms and you'd like to visit one of these COVID-19 testing sites here in the Bronx, you may call the State Health Department's hotline.
Important to note about this site is no reservations are needed. This is a walk-in clinic.
A lot of us are out of work and looking for something to do.
We have the machinery and the skills to make large scales of these masks and gowns.
Take care of your people. It's going to go way further than we actually can understand.
Right now, employees like myself are just adjusting to the new reality.
Reporting from BronxNet, this is Arthur.
Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I am thrilled to do this segment because it brings young people in the Bronx into the political scene, into something they're interested in. And these two young Bronx high school students have put together a club. And the name of the club is Elections, Politics, and Governance. They're over at SAR Academy. It's my pleasure to welcome Eytan Saenger and Tyler Fischman. Let's start with you, Eytan. Nice to have you with us, sir.
Thank you for having us.
And also, Tyler, nice to have you, sir.
Thank you so much for having us, Gary.
Eytan, let's just start with you. How did this club come about? And then, of course, you've done some great things already, even moderating a political forum. That's wonderful. But let's start about the origin of the club.
Right. So I'd say for both of us, we'd been interested in politics for multiple years, and we'd participated in some clubs years, but there hadn't really been like one main politics club. And after both working on campaigns over this past summer, we felt that there was a need to start a club at SAR, which gave students and faculty an opportunity to come and discuss the events in the political world, the elections, what's happening in government, and to do it in a nonpartisan type way where, especially nowadays, where a lot of politics can devolve into a screaming match and be very, I'd say, non-cordial, or that it was a way where people could discuss what they thought about certain things without it getting like very hectic and staying more neutral and on the facts.
I'm saying that sounds wonderful. My curiosity is about other students. Do other students say, "Oh, these guys, they're just political nerds," or do they come right out and say, "Wow, this is a good thing. I want to be part of it"? Eytan, we'll start with you, and then I'll get to Tyler about it.
Well, I mean, I'd say that like definitely, as the year has gone on, more people have like shown up to our different like speakers. And that has been like something which I guess was introduced a few months into the club, where people are like, wow, this is something that people are putting together. And like, it's interesting. And it's something I haven't heard from. Like they feel like they can come and hear from a former senator or a municipal candidate or something like that, who they wouldn't usually hear from. And like, we're excited to come and hear that perspective.
Tyler, let's talk about your interest here. You share the interest in politics, and talk a little bit about the internship that Eytan referred to over the summer that you worked on campaigns.
Absolutely. So I interned with my local state assemblyman. I live on the Upper East Side, Rebecca Seawright. And by doing that, I sort of got to see the beauty of politics and of local politics in particular. Her campaign headquarters in her government office was a community center. You got senior citizens coming in needing help with their rent increase exemptions, or an old lady who needed the help going to the library. And through that, I really wanted to share sort of the softer, less hot topic side of politics with my peers. And I reached out to Eitan, and we got the EPG club started. And
Jay, I'm trying to think of a better education for young high school students, but I can't. I mean, that had to
Absolutely.
be as, real world. You saw people who, really need services and all those kinds of things. And then the process of how an elected official might actually make that happen. Tyler, talk about the forum that you just ran as far as the 11th City Council District.
Absolutely. So the 11th City Council District comprises of Riverdale and the neighboring areas. And Eitan, living in the district, came to me with an incredible idea that we should run a city council forum for the SAR community, because obviously a city council special election, turnout's low. So we felt that we could really make an impact on who would win this race and the outcome. So we reached out to all the candidates thinking we'd get no more than 2 or 3, just bring them to the club, see who would want to come. And gradually 1 candidate responded and 2, and then we had all of them. So we quickly changed gears from having them come speak to our club audience to a town hall forum. We wrote up questions. The school was incredible, helped us every single step of the way. And we had 170 people come and hear from all the candidates a couple of weeks back.
I'm sorry, I've got to applaud, because I know what it's like from the inside on doing these kinds of things. And for a high school forum to have done that, I'm sure parents and faculty and the entire high school community was part of it. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm. And I think that was part of the beauty of it, that the entire community really got behind it, that it wasn't only regular members of our club or teachers. We had synagogue community members and academy parents, lower school parents come. So it was really this community-wide push behind a political race that I don't think anyone would have really been too interested otherwise.
Eitan, I'm going to play teacher here. And of course, it is the school day. We're recording this on Monday. And so I've got to ask you, what did you learn? What was surprising that you didn't expect as you guys were setting this thing up? Or was there nothing, that it just went as you thought it was going to go?
Well, I would say, in a way, like just setting it up and like being able to like communicate with the different campaigns, and just like to see that, like, well, usually you hear, okay, there's a city council campaign or a mayoral campaign. Oh, so there's many staff members and it's a whole like big thing, which is like very disconnected from everything else. But like, I was reaching out to the candidates themselves, because in a local city council race like this, there are not that many staff members, and there are not that many like people that go into this to a local campaign. And so that was something, I guess, I learned in the process of it. And then on the night of the event, I guess in a like good sense of that, we were able to conduct it without it evolving into a shouting match, and it stayed mostly cordial between the candidates, and we were able to go from candidate to candidate without too many insults, unlike in some other debates, whereas like in the presidential debate, where some people were very turned off by watching that and seeing 2 candidates shouting at each other the whole time or calling them names. This was more on the issues. We'd ask a question about education. You'd ask a question and they'd say what they thought about the issue and their honest opinion as a candidate.
It was civil. I guess that would be one way to take a look at it. Tyler, let's talk about the setting up of it. What I was hoping Eitan was going to say, that he has more respect for people who do it for a living like I do, who do it on a regular basis and manage all that stuff all the time.
That definitely too.
But Tyler, let's just, I guess, get you the same question. What impression did you have about doing it, and what it meant for you, and maybe what does it inspire you to think about for yourself, or even for SAR and the possibilities for the future?
I think the part that I really found so inspiring was the messaging I got from my peers after. I had people texting me, telling me the candidates they preferred, the messages they agreed with. And I think a majority of people couldn't have told you who the winner of this race's predecessor was, Andrew Cohen. But I think due to our efforts, they 100% will know who wins this election. I've had people coming up to me in the halls asking me who's going to win, who has won. So that's definitely inspiring. And I think there's a role for education, especially high school students in particular, to get involved in local government, because over the course of the presidential election, we had a lot of information messaging about that. But local government, municipal government, state government is equally as, if not more important than that, to the daily lives of everyone.
And you look at the issues, funding for your school, all the things going on in communities where, I mean, I don't have to review them. You guys know it, development or arts funding. I mean, all these different kinds of, with money for the buses and transportation, and how it trickles down. I think it's you just couldn't have a better educational exercise. What you guys may not be aware of is that you're taking advantage of what really was a terrible thing, and that is the pandemic, which forced us all, including me and BronxNet, into this new Zoom culture, into this virtual culture, which makes it possible for you to do the kind of forum you did. Otherwise, you'd need the auditorium, and that involves the custodian, and you'd have to invite people, and then there's security, and then you have to have a stage. Here, candidates can do it from on their lunch hour, that kind of thing. So let's start with you, Tyler. What is next for your club? Does it make you say, gee, maybe we ought to do more of this?
I think based on how well this went, me and Eitan definitely had that conversation. We looked at each other and said, we need to keep this effort going. Our next step, actually, we are planning an interfaith mayoral campaign with both Christian and Muslim schools in the community. And we're hoping to have as many mayoral candidates as possible come and speak to us about the issues concerning both religious children in the city and private school students. And we're very excited about that.
And I have to tell you, emblematic of the kinds of things we need, how wonderful for a Jewish school, a Muslim school, and a Catholic school to get together and say we have something in common, and that is the elected representation. Let's all have input on it. I couldn't be more excited about the things that you're telling me. Eitan, what about arranging questions and subject matter? Is that an effort for you? We've got about a minute left, so let's do that, and then we'll just wrap it up. So what do you think?
Right. So I'd say we sort of try to get guests that we can ask different types of questions from. So we'll have a mayoral candidate, or you'll have a senator or something like that. And then you'll also have someone who worked for the Supreme Court. And so we can ask tough questions, not just, okay, what is your view on healthcare or universal healthcare? What is your view on this? But how is your experience working in your profession different than someone else we'd have? And how does that impact you in your day-to-day lives?
Listen, we got to run, but what a great exercise for you. That's it. Class is over. Right on time. Thank you, SAR Academy, for your timing. That's it, guys. Thank you so much. You have inspired me. You have inspired your entire school community. And we hope to have greater interaction with you here on BronxNet Television. Folks, that's all for the Bronx Buzz for this evening. We thank, of course, Eytan Saenger and also Tyler Fischman from SAR and Ralph Ortega from City and State New York. And this week on Bronx Talk, speaking of debates, we'll do the debate for the candidates in the 15th Council District. So that'll be coming up this week. See you. Good night. Thanks.